back to Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV. No, last time I know we left off the Crystarium gearing up, but I took care of all that, and I decided to meld out Dark Knight as much as possible with Tier 6 materia, mostly because I'm cheap. I did a couple of overmelds, nothing fancy, nothing to write home about. Just enough to give us a basic through line to start getting through the game. This profusion of brightly glowing coral-like branches is most definitely not a kettle. Sacred lamp! Will of the Ancients, huh? Eris, is that you? If you didn't know, in Final Fantasy, it's a pretty common trope for there to be ancient...
stewards of the Ondo, we offer up our light in answer.
Man, even the Sahagins are getting voice actors now? But, what I was saying was... It's a trope in Final Fantasy for there to be ancient super races, if you haven't picked up on it by now. Final Fantasy I, the Leifinish, and the Elves, and the Dwarves. In Final Fantasy II, the Messidian mages. In Final Fantasy III, the ancients who raised the floating island and made the engine and tower that keep it floating. Final Fantasy IV, it wasn't an ancient super race, but... Well, actually it is, but they're from another planet, so they're also aliens. The Lunarians, as they call themselves. Final Fantasy V, there was Ancient Ronka, or Lanka, depending on how your translation romanized it. In Final Fantasy VI, there was the Magi, and Espers, I guess. 7, there was the Ancients, also known as the Cetra. See, in 8, I think 8 is the first one in the series to not have a race of super ancients, but there is the Ishtar city that's like hyper advanced and like hidden off from the world, and I don't remember how that ties into the ancient like sorcery and sorceress prophecies and shit. I'm not really super duper familiar with 8. I know all the basic through lines, but I just can't remember. Then in 9, there's the Iaphatri and Terra with Garland, who's a cyborg, and the Genomes and the Terran souls, which are ancient and dying off. There's also tons of ancient ruins all around the world. And then Final Fantasy X, I would guess it would be the Xanarkans and their like dream fiction reality, because they used to exist, but now they only exist via like basically dream stasis corpses or something like that. I'm not really familiar with 10 either. 11, there's the Zillart and the Kulu, as well as Ephraimad. Although Ephraimad, I guess you wouldn't categorize it as super ancient, but it's an old extinct kingdom. Then I have no familiarity with 12 at all, but I know it takes place in Ivalice, or however you'd like to say it. So all of the Final Fantasy Tactics ancient lore applies there. 13, I'm not really familiar with. Although I do kind of know that the ancient people who existed on Pulse were just normal humans at one point, and then Pulse is actually Earth. 14 is where we're at now, and 15 I'm not incredibly versed in, so yeah, whatever. Point is, it's a trope that Final Fantasy keeps close to its breast.
That crystal you showed the artisan. Was it... Did it belong to one of my friends?
Damn Skippy.
I tried to give you a measure of privacy. No one wants a spirit looking over their shoulder every moment of the day. So tell me, if you would, how did you come across that crystal?
Oh, I went and killed all your friends' bodies that had been turned into sin eaters.
I was right then.
Literally all of them.
Strange that I should learn such things now, after they're long gone. They were fine friends, every one of them. I didn't expect death to teach me so much. About them, about Seto, about you, about the hope that hides at the heart of this world. I've never been one for idle chit-chat, but if by some miracle I could see them all again, I doubt I would ever stop talking. I'm grateful I got to bend your ear at least. And just for that, I reckon I'll stick with you. To the very end.
You already gave me an oath on that, dip, buddy. But I appreciate the reaffirmation, I guess.
Apologies, we were a little late to the gathering.
I need to re-glam Clyde's Alamegan earrings.
It seems we've succeeded in gaining their trust.
The delay wasn't exactly welcome, but at least our many hands made light work. And they seemed especially impressed with your contribution. Our hero indeed.
Y'shtola was telling us those structures may date back to the age of the Ascians.
An Ascian homeland. Despite his many protestations, I never quite believed Emmett Selk was telling the truth.
Nor I. But there is no denying the evidence before our eyes. Clearly this was once a great city. A home they would see restored, no matter how many tens of thousands of years it takes.
It's a hollow dream, when you think about it. Even if they manage to rejoin all the worlds, they'll never bring back the ones who were lost. But would I have done any different?
How are you feeling?
Not so well.
You have completed your devotions?
Yes. To the honored ancients have we offered up our prayers and our gratitude. You too have our thanks.
Man, from this angle, he makes Y'shtola look like she's, you know, a midget.
Might we trouble thee then to tell us more of the illuminated land of which thou didst lately speak?
To the west of here lies a great trench. Some days ago, a light appeared in that endless darkness. Curious, we ventured closer and discovered in the depths an entire city. The buildings we spied were akin to our own everlasting abodes, impossibly so. We understood at once the ancients had risen. there could be no doubt. Taken with terror, we retreated to the cups, and I decreed that none should enter the trench until such time as we received a sign.
Might it still be possible to reach this city of the ancients?
With no water to drown you, a finless one could now travel there. Yes. I am convinced you are the sign for which we have been waiting. My people will show you the way.
Shall we?
But of course. But first, let's glam these damn earrings. Gotta at least keep some of my identifying glam marks. Plus, griffin earrings are cool. Even if they are clip-ons. I think these coral formations and stuff are pretty cool. Really? This is fucking terrible design. Ugh. Enter the cavern below and follow the wall down and down and down. Once at the bottom, find a passage to the northwest, and continue west and west and west. The way is not simple. Keep your friends within shouting distance, and do not stray into the depths. Just before the journey's end, you will find the Caliban Gap, and the barrier will be placed at its mouth. This obstacle will fade should you raise a hand towards it. We have made it so. Caliban Gap, huh? Well, Caliban was the monster character in Shakespeare's The Tempest. Getting a little on the nose with wanting to be compared to Shakespeare, are we, Final Fantasy writers? Huh? Honestly, though, the upcoming story bits are far more reminiscent of an old movie from the, I think it's from the 60s, or maybe it was the 50s. It's a movie called Forbidden Planet, and it's the first movie to ever star Leslie Nielsen in it, as far as I know. And it's about a space crew that they go to this planet that they're not supposed to go to. I don't remember the reason why. Maybe it was a crash landing, or maybe it was there's like a researcher out there that they had to go and see. And basically the researcher found this super ancient alien race, and some strange things start happening, and well, I'd say more about its plot, but that would spoil the plot we're about to go into, so. But basically that movie was also, critics who really loved it, they compared it to Shakespeare's The Tempest. And so I have no doubt in my mind that the Final Fantasy writing staff have seen and love Forbidden Planet, and they took the idea that the Forbidden Planet is based off of The Tempest wholesale and applied it to what they wanted to compare this story to, even though the story beats they were referencing were explicitly Forbidden Planet story beat references. So. Yep, they can, but we're not going to because we just came down here. You can also just jump straight down, like with your mount and stuff, but you risk aggroing one of the Uraganites that are down here. They're called Nauplius, or Nauplius, or whatever, and if you aggro one as you hit the bottom, then you'll instantly die, so it's not really worth the jump. Unless you're a fan of wasting time. Which, I mean, you're watching this Let's Play, so, I mean, maybe that's your, maybe wasting time is your jam. Or maybe you're just lonely and need to hear a friendly voice. Does my voice sound friendly, or do I just sound like some dweeb? In my own opinion, obviously, I sound like a dweeb. I don't really like the sound of my own voice, especially in recordings. It took me years to get used to it. Whenever I heard myself in a recording, I thought I sounded basically like I had some sort of slight lisp and a mental deficit. And even after puberty, that sort of, I didn't really change my mind about that. You know, that kind of looks like a Morbull. In fact, it looks exactly like a tiny Morbull, but it has a whole bunch of eyes. So he says we could go the long way, or we could just not be total bitches and get this ether current. You can't fall, so, I mean, it's not real life or anything. They put invisible walls so you can't fall. Even if you could fall, death in this game means practically nothing, so. Other than you wasted some time. I think we can get some EXP on Samurai. So, like from filling out the map. So I might just move along on Samurai just because, to not waste map EXP. Hope you don't mind the job change mid-questing. Of course, I would think that if you minded job changes, you would have said something by now, or, you know, you wouldn't be watching Final Fantasy XIV, since job changes are integral to the game. One thing people who play this MMO don't understand at all, and something I hate about it, is the fact that normally in Final Fantasy games that involve the job system, which would be, it started with Final Fantasy 1, and then Final Fantasy 3, then Final Fantasy 5, and then finally, let's see, well no, not finally, but barrier, huh? So if you'd come down here earlier, you wouldn't have been able to go. Yay, Mappy XP. Every little bit helps. No, I don't want to be aggroed by a level 80 monster. Nah, we won't instantly die or anything. We can actually, because of item level and stuff like that, your expected item level by this point is really only like the low 400s, like I4, maybe I415 or something like that. And as such, the overworld monsters present not no challenge, but like you can kill them at level 70. You'll just miss a lot, and if you don't have any sources of healing, you might die, depending on what you're fighting, and whether or not you dodge telegraphs and stuff. But, well, if that wasn't obvious by now, then...
By the gods.
Gods the buy. Oh snap. It's just like they said, a whole city.
When the Ondo spoke of a city, I did not think they meant an actual city.
But what's kind of interesting here is, like, that looks like a modern day city in real life. There is no city in this game that actually looks like that. Like, unless Charlian looks like that, right? Come to think of it, remember the Idleshire colony? How it had that huge stone, you know, cenotaph at the entrance to Idleshire that had fallen somewhat into ruin? It's kind of what the buildings remind me of, you know, being made out of stone and all. Other than that, I guess Ishgard would be...
We are seeing the same view.
Ishgard and maybe Kugane to an extent would I guess would be comparable.
The remnants in the Ondo settlement were solid material structures. But these...
Rain's never seen anything like it though.
Everything here pulses with ether. 'Tis an enchantment on a monumental scale.
Enchantment? Enchantment! I'll switch back to Dark Knight after this is over, because, well, the next tick of Mappy XP is only going to be 54,000, and Plus, we gotta turn in quests now, so. Brooding edifices, huh? They just make you feel sad, huh? You're not like in complete awe of buildings of this size? Like none of you have ever seen anything like this. Yeah, the Ondo told us as much. We did not fully understand the feats of which an old-world Ascian is capable. That is the understatement of the century, baby. Y'all don't say anything different now that I turn that quest in, right? Okay, no they don't. The end of a world, huh? The Caliban Gorge. The Macaronese Macarenses angle is also a reference to the Tempest play by Shakespeare. These bureaus are not. Well, we'll see more as we go along. There's also an ether current to grab. You also may have noticed that the music has changed to a piano with a ticking clock. As if to say, time is of the essence. Or that, you know, time is a feature of this city. You can kind of see that, like, the spires on top of the buildings have, like, they're, like, made of crystal or maybe stained glass. And there's, like, crystal cubes lining the city structures as well. And then you see that this stone right here, it does look exactly like the stones we saw earlier that were covered by rock and coral. Imposing doors, huh? They are awfully big. They're even bigger than the doors in the basement of Hockey Manor. Clyde Wyvernhide recognized. Welcome to the city of Amarot. Will you be riding the lift? Did the building just welcome you? Mayhap it is not so passing strange. Did Emmett Selk not invite Clyde to visit his abode? 'Tis plain thy coming was expected. The lift services every level of Akora Heights, but it is presently configured to convey passengers directly to the ground floor. I like you too, Alice. He even put moss on the buildings. Or is that like some sort of kelp that he couldn't get rid of, or this other seaweed sort of thing? Facilities include Bureau of the Administrator, Bureau of the Architect, and the Capitol. Ah, as in the Capitol building. Because we're already in the Capitol city. Oh, look, there's trees that have both green and purple leaves. Yeah, it's like a city made for giants or something. Seems peaceful enough, he said, tempting fate. Aw, Alfie boy feels inadequate. That's a giant. Giant or no, residents of this place may have much and more to tell us. I say we make the first move. Oh, you say he can't just, but he's going to just, so... Huh, it's got a mask and a robe. It's kind of like a peaceful-looking Ascian. Although that mask style is like the Gridanian masks. Come to think of it, the whole... We've seen the trope of wearing masks a lot through this game, right? Like, all the Wood Whalers and a lot of Gridanians wear masks to prevent being killed by the elementals. The dwarves on the first wear their helmets as part of their society, only taking them off in the presence of family in their own home. Then... let's see, the Confederacy wore masks of wood in the Ruby Sea to disguise themselves. And then... or at least they're masked for like war or something. I want to say there was a couple other instances of mask wearing, and obviously Ascians all wear masks. How odd, that sounded like no language I've ever heard, and yet I understood every word. Just as he understood us. Now, the Ascians in general and this city are technically very low-key a reference to Final Fantasy II and the Jungle Island. In the bottom of the Jungle Island cave, you find a black robe-wearing society that all wear red masks. And they only have a few lines of dialogue. Why you know wearing a mask, and stay away from the black mask, because you're there to get the black mask in order to unlock the crystal rod to go into the Ultima Tower, or the Messidian Tower, to get the spell Ultima. and there's a counterpart white mask in the Castle Finn. But notably on the Jungle Island, there's no buildings, but there's 12 black-robed people wearing red masks. So keep that in mind for later. Management of the Star, huh? Marvel at the workings of the Convocation of 14. The whole world holds its breath as the final days draw near, and our brightest minds race to implement their plans. More like a phantom than an actual person, though, huh? Appear as arcane entities. Well, that makes sense. What's even more funny is that everyone except for Reen and Clyde in our party is technically arcane entity, because they're just hard souls, basically, that don't have actual physical flesh and blood bodies, even though Thancred was shown to bleed earlier. Phantoms of a different age. Emmett Selk hath resurrected a memory, a moment in time from before the star was sundered. He's really committed to that bit, huh? They seem downright eager to chat. Okay. Isn't the Convocation what the Ascians referred to themselves as earlier in the game with the story? I don't remember if they ever explicitly state it. I'm pretty sure they do, though. It's just not in scenes that we see directly as our character. It's scenes that are set up for dramatic irony that only the player gets to view, not the character in the game. Which is something a lot of people don't seem to put together these days. That, like, there's information that we see as the player, so we know. But, like, then they complain when our character is surprised upon learning the truth much later when they actually finally get to see things. This latest calamity? Wait. Say that again? Latest calamity? You've had more than one calamity by this point. Okay. I'll be pausing and looking at that later when I get this uploaded. Loquacious Amorotine. Optimistic Amorotine. Shall we begin with the members themselves? As all know, the 14 are the wisest and most puissant among us. They are the stewards of order, responsible for decisions which keep the star turning season after season. be it the speaker, La Habrea, or the emissary, Elidibus. Each seat is occupied by an elected sage of surpassing intellect. Logrif, Mitron, Imidselk. Their individual titles have, as a gesture of respect and a matter of tradition, become synonymous with their incumbents. Thus, it is with great incredulity, words are hard, incredulity, that I greet this recent rumor that a seat in the convocation is soon to be left vacant. If proven true, it would be an unprecedented development, and testament to the immense pressure under which our saviors are toiling. In any event, I for one am confident they shall deliver our star unto salvation. Well, it sounds like they have before, if that guy on the street remarking that, you know, this latest calamity. The rhetorical arts. So speaking to make people think rather than have an actual discussion. Debate facilitator. Kind of reminds me of a hotel lobby. Except everything is made out of stone. Uh-oh, my controller battery level is low. That's okay though, we've only got like, what, like 18-ish minutes left? Have you not heard, though yet confined to the lands across the sea, a terrible phenomenon afflicts our star. They are calling it the final days. It is said it starts suddenly, a cacophonous keening from beneath the earth. The sound distorts all living things within earshot and wrests from us control of our creation magics. Once that happens, all is lost. Fear, pain, despair, every dread impulse is siphoned from our minds and given substance. An eternal fall of fiery rain, an incessant spawning of nightmarish beasts. None can point to the source of the phenomenon. 'Tis as if the star itself has fallen ill, as if a force inimical to life now festers and spreads. 'Tis only a matter of time until Amarat too resounds to that discordant squall. You should stay with your loved ones, child. Stay with them. Hey look, a child MRO teen. He's still like twice as tall as Clyde. Huh. No wonder they think we're kids. Let's go ahead and go grab that aetherite. If you notice, it looks exactly like the aetherite in the Ondo cups. I could have switched to Samurai from FFXIV. No. Actually, that might be a good idea, so I don't think about it. Let's grab this aetherite and go on down and see how much of this map I can unlock real quick. I'm pretty sure the Marcarensis angle is the, like, the island or the strait of water or whatever that the main character or the main antagonist of the Tempest gets stuck in. Stewards who have harnessed the power of creation itself. the intellectual utopia that flourishes at the heart of our world. From the Capitol, where our preeminent minds gather to carry out the duties of governance, to the Academia Uniter, where devotees of knowledge strive to solve the greatest unsolved mysteries of our era, to the smaller but no less valuable institutions, Amarat has all that you will ever need, and so very much more. It's a monster. Cubus, or Cubus. I'm gonna say Cubus. I don't want to think about succubus. Even if that is how it's said. What are those for, ya? They're actually involved in some side quests you can get around here. After we go to this last story point, there should be a bunch of side quests that pop up to do, which we'll actually also be able to do on Samurai, because side quests are not level locked. I may have mentioned it before, at least once, but you see how all these quests are marked as level 70 with a little down arrow, meaning they sync to your level. As long as you are level 70 or above, you can do them. Although their difficulty will not change. So like if you've got to fight these cubuses, then you know, you'll have to do it on whatever job you're doing the quest on or something. You might be able to switch, but I usually don't. And they're just overworld monsters anyway, so like I said earlier, you can kill them even at level 70. Okay, that's all the map EXP. Now, I normally don't do the side quests, if you hadn't noticed, because, well, if I did do the side quests and try to show them all in the recordings, then we would probably be at episode 400 or chapter 400 by now or something, or some crazy shit like that, because they just do not, yeah, they just don't, you know, they don't, add enough to be worth showing off, usually. Plus, it's hard for me to really remember which ones have funny dialogue or interesting things. But the side quests here in Amarat will be interesting for the sole fact that, I mean, this place is deeply tied to the main story. Settle in for a good long wait, huh? Pragmatic MRO team. They will invoke our mightiest spells of creation to birth an entity of all-encompassing magnificence, and then they will rewrite the laws of existence. 'Tis a huge undertaking, and it must be completed ere the corruption spreads this far. Thus I say to you again, do not hold out hope for an audience. Well, well, well. Interesting, interesting. They don't seem to, even though they call us children, they don't seem to really take note of our weapon. Or weapons, I guess, because every Scion has a... I mean, Alpha Note just has a book, right? But, he would have his story known. Yeah, that's pretty much the size of it, buddy. Greater purpose, huh? Compare notes and our next move will become clear. Seems legit. Creation magics run rampant, huh? What are your thoughts on the Ancients' art of creation? A fascinating discipline indeed. Aught the mind can conceive may be rendered in reality. All that is required is a clear concept, upon which to focus one's will. 'Tis not dissimilar to the primal rites taught by the Ascians, wherein ritual ceremony breatheth life into figments of myth and legend. And by extension, it's very similar to Arcanima from the Arcanists Guild. And this story beat right here is one reason maybe I should have done Arcanist and Summoner for the Let's Play, but oh well, it's not that crazy bad that we didn't. Vast reserves of mana, huh? No matter how draining these creation magics must be, it seems they paid the cost with not more than a fraction of the ether which coursed through their own bodies. If we were to attempt the same, such spells would soon deplete our energies, and then seek to draw the balance from elsewhere, from a hoard of crystals, mayhap, or from the very land itself. Thus, when this art of creation was placed into our hands, it became, in effect, a means for destruction. An interesting matter which no doubt bears further study, but despite all these revelations, I worry we are no closer to finding Emmett Selk. Has anyone learned aught which might lead us to his location? Well, we know he's part of the Convocation of 14, which is the rulers, so they're in the Capitol building. Silly Billy. Writ of permission, huh? Could you be eligible for one of these writs? The voice in the lift seemed to know who you were. It might be that your name is registered at the bureaus as well. Worth a look, I'd say. Less official point of entry, huh? What, you think there's gonna be an open, unbreakable window or something? Reen asking Alice to go with her, huh? Come to think of it, the way Reen was you know, basically raised and imprisoned, she probably never had any friends either. So she might be desperate for one. Patronizing Amorotine. Community cohesion, huh? I must say, little one, those garments you're wearing, they are your own original concepts, I take it? Clearly they must be, given their rather singular flamboyance. I would never dream of stifling a fledgling creator's creativity, but to parade about in your cultivated individuality is hardly praiseworthy. An Amarotine of character shares their creations with the community. They do not hoard them for their use alone. To delight in disparity is a mark of the morally deficient. Disparity engenders feelings of want and resentment, which degrade the bonds of fellowship. Thus do we encourage creators to share and share alike, else we risk kindling the embers of covetousness and violence that ever smolder in the hearts of all. Therefore, I must implore you, little one, to cast aside your original trappings and don the communal robes, that you might acquit yourself as an equal among many. In so doing, you will be afforded greater respect and autonomy. Worry not, for this will be a simple affair. I recall seeing a gentle soul outside the Hall of Rhetoric, carrying robes perfectly suited for one of your diminutive stature. I am sure they will be glad to share their wealth with you. But do hurry, little one. The eyes of the collective are ever watching and weighing your worth. Gentle Amarotine. Let me guess, you're gonna be out of robes? You already gave them all away? Oh ho, aren't we looking rather smart this evening? What can I do for you, little one? I need robes. Robes to serve in lieu of your ensemble? How prudent. Alas, I have nothing I can offer you at this present time. The ones your associates saw me carrying earlier were a failed experiment. I never intended to make them so small, so I disposed of them shortly thereafter. A failed experiment? By your bemused expression, I gather you find it odd that your elders can fail in so simple an application of creation magics? It is more common than you may realize, little one. In this instance, a gaggle of children was passing by as I held the image of the robes in my mind's eye. Simply by becoming aware of their presence was the form influenced, and the final product changed. All things considered, it could have been worse. Just the other day I was attempting to conceive a white-haired lion, when all of a sudden this exquisite eagle alighted on the nearby railing, giving me quite the shock, and dramatically altering my initial concept. Yes, indeed, it was a most unexpected development, but not an altogether unwelcome one. Great strides are often born from unexpected impetuses. But even inspiration has its limits. For all the wonders we have wrought, I do wonder if there will come a time when we have fully explored the potential of our powers, when there is truly nothing left unmade, and only iteration and imitation and stagnation remain. But such esoteric matters need not concern you, little one. For now, I would encourage you to embrace your creativity and work your magic without fear of failure. Nevertheless, I would still be in your best interest to don the appropriate robes to avoid excess scrutiny. Why don't you go to the Bureau of the Architect and request the appropriate concept so you can fashion one yourself? Well, that's all for right now. I think I'm going to stop it here, so thank you. Stay safe, have a good day, like and sub if you'd like, and I'll see you again.